As 2024 comes to a close, I wanted to break down my top 15 best games of the year, and it's going to be a little bit different from my top 10 best Switch games because obviously this list is going to include all different platforms and systems that I played on. So let's go ahead and jump right in at number 15, and that is Balatro. This is a game that I came on to late after all of the hype, and it absolutely lived up to it. It's a really weird blend of rogue and card game and poker and all different types of stuff kind of put together. But I think that the most interesting thing about Balatro is that you don't expect it to be incredible. You don't expect it to continuously get better and better with its gameplay, but it continues to surprise you each time that I played, each time that I saw different things when I had to get in certain scenarios with the game. It's just a really fun, cool rogue slash card game that I never expected that I would actually like as much as I did, which is why it took me a while to actually try it out. But Balatro is a phenomenal game. I can understand why it was in many people's game of the year or their game of the year, and it makes the number 15 on my list. Coming in at number 14, Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door Remake, Super Remaster, Re-whatever on the Nintendo Switch. Now, this is a pretty straight up remaster slash remake of the game. Most of the stuff is remade in there, and it looks beautiful compared to the GameCube version. I played the GameCube version a long time ago, so I didn't really remember many of the aspects of the game, and on top of that, it's just been so long. So this one's actually pretty good. I might have had it higher up on my list if they're actually able to keep it in the 60 frames. That fluid animation of the original GameCube game is definitely a bit missed here, but it's still a fantastic remake of the game. All of the aspects of it with some nice quality of life features have been added in, but I think that the combat is really where this game shines. Timing up your button presses, getting different abilities with Mario and his friends is just fantastic. On top of that, it's actually got a pretty good story to boot as well. The music is good, the visuals, gameplay is a lot of fun. I think that the menus and the sound, everything is kind of put together in a really nice package overall. So, Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door makes the number 14 on my list. Coming in at number 13, Super Mario Party Jamboree. This is probably the best Mario Party game that I've ever played since probably the old school Mario Parties. I'm not big on Mario Party, but I've actually gotten to play this one with family and friends quite a bit more since it released, and I'm really enjoying the content in here. I think that the online and how that's handled, in addition to the actual boards and mini games, are some of the best, if not the best, in the series. Graphically, it looks great. Music is very whimsical and Mario Party-ish, so that was great as well. But I think that it's pretty fast. I think that's one of the things that I think that they did a great job with, is that it's actually a fast and fluid type of game. It doesn't take too long to get people into your game or go into another game yourself, and there's a variety of different game modes and games to play. So it's actually one of the best, if not best, Mario Party, and easily one of the best titles that I played this year on any platform. So Super Mario Party Jamboree makes the number 13 on my list. Coming in at number 12, Fantasian Neo Dimension, another game that came out very late in the year, but I've been able to pack in a lot of time, and honestly, this game does so many cool things within the combat structure of an RPG. This is Hironobu Sakaguchi, this is Nobuo Uematsu, this is the dream team of Final Fantasy in terms of what made that game what it is back in the day. And you can see the influence. It oozes from the combat, from the structure, from the story, the characters. It feels like that old school Final Fantasy adventure, but with modern and new twists to it, with some fantastic graphics and a really sleek presentation overall. It was so good to get this game coming over from the Apple Arcade, get it out of that prison and put it on the platforms, and I'm having a blast going through it. Definitely one of the best and more unique RPG systems out there. So Fantasian Neo Dimension makes the number 12 on my list. Coming in at number 11, Mario and Luigi Brothership. This is a fantastic RPG, Mario and Luigi style. There are a few things that are kind of holding it back with some of the pacing that I went through. There are some things that are a bit like meh with it overall, but once you get going, it's like a snowball rolling down a cliff, man. It just builds and builds and builds. The combat gets better and better and better. The bros attacks that are available are awesome. The exploration phases that you have here, the interaction with the environments. I would have just personally liked there to be faster loading into battles and just faster loading in general. I think that would have absolutely helped with the flow of the game, and I think it holds it back a little bit. But if you can get past some of those things, the story is good enough. The combat is exquisite, top tier overall, and you're really going to love some of the locations and different styles that this game brings to the table. There are a lot of things that when you first start playing, you're like, not so sure about that. But by the middle-ish slash end of the game, man, you're really enjoying the combat. For me, I love how the enemies get harder and harder in terms of their attack patterns, and when you have to actually dodge, maybe get a counter, jump on their head, what type of bros attacks you can use. That's really what makes this game shine, and that's why Mario and Luigi Brothership makes the number 11 on my list. If you're enjoying the content, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. And let's go ahead and jump right back into number 10 on the list here, and that's Persona 3 Reload, a game that I played predominantly on Steam Deck and PC. And this game, it's a remake of the original Persona 3, and it's fantastic. There's just a few things here and there. I feel like some of the locations maybe didn't transfer the best over from the previous games when it comes to Persona 3, but everything else is really solid in this game. It's got a awesome soundtrack, one of the best soundtracks that I've ever heard in any game. It's got sleek new visuals that they've done, completely remade for this game, running in Unreal Engine 4. It's got fantastic combat. I think that the Persona games, they're really good. The SMT press turn system, that combat is so battle tested and it's so good, and it just flows even faster and better here. Quickly loading into battles, quickly getting in and out. It is just a joy to play overall, and I really enjoyed my time going through with it. And of course, you have the sim elements when it comes to the daily life and school and all of that, which that stuff's not necessarily my favorite, but I think that if you pair that up with the calendar system and pacing, it actually makes for a really nice, I would say, break from getting some more of the intense battles in Tartarus. So I really enjoyed my time with Persona 3 Reload, and that's why it makes the number 3 on my list. Coming in at number 9, Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven. This is technically, I guess, a remake, but most people have probably never heard of this game and not played it, especially here in the West. This was my first time experiencing it, and it is fantastic. I love Romancing Saga 2. It does a really cool thing with the systems and mechanics to where you have these lineage points and you can earn them in different skills that are passed down from gen to gen. In addition to that, it's just got amazing turn-based combat that incentivizes trying out new things, learning skills on the fly, and prioritizing your different formations in order to have the best way to take out enemies. So I really enjoyed my time with it. I felt that the music was done very well. The game runs like butter on the PlayStation 5, and I think that one of the big things with this game is that the story is also really well done. And I think it's one of the better told stories that people just aren't talking about overall. There's a few things that are kind of like, all right, that's pretty typical JRPG stuff, but it really gets in depth the more that you delve into the game. There's tons of content here, 100 hours plus of content if you want to do everything, but if not, you can kind of go through side quests, all sorts of stuff. So Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven could be the underdog, underrated game of the year, and that's why it makes the number 9 on my list. Coming in at number 8, Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, a fantastic remake of the original Dragon Quest III. And honestly, this game is just as good as any of the games above it overall. Dragon Quest III is just an awesome game. It's just a remake, so you know, sometimes I prioritize certain games over others, but man, I love this game's combat system. There are so many RPGs to play and everything, but this combat, it's old school, it's traditional, but it's fun, and if it's not broke, don't fix it, especially for a phenomenal game that originally came out back in the day. But this one completely remade, just like the Octopath Traveler games. It's got the HD, 2D, but I think that this game offers a really cool and unique perspective on old school combat that feels just great to play, even in this day of all these different modern RPG systems. Dragon Quest just has this feeling when it comes to the classes, when it comes to the structure. It just feels great to play overall. And this game in particular, with the remake, adds in some extra stuff that wasn't in the original game. The music is Dragon Quest music, which I do like some of it. I'm not the biggest fan, but I do like what they've done with the renditions here. It sounds incredible overall. So Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake makes it in at number 8 on the list. Coming in at number 7, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And this game, once again, could be higher if they kind of took care of some of the frame rate issues that it has. But if you can get past that, the amount of creativity that you can do in this game when it comes to combat, exploration, puzzles is just almost second to none. I've never seen it in a 2D Zelda game. Now, we've seen it with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and especially with Tears of the Kingdom, but this game really does some really clever things overall, and really everybody's gameplay is going to be different when it comes down to it. Even heck, if you probably play the game or replay it again, you're probably going to play it a bit different than when you played it the first time. That's how varied the combat and that's how varied the items and the echoes that you can create are. I think the story's also well done. The graphics are adorable, but like I said, held down a little bit by that frame rate kind of framing up at times. But when it runs good, or when you're really in the heat of combat, you kind of lock in and really just make sure that you're doing the best to kind of get through that scenario or situation. And that's what I loved about that, the moment-to-moment gameplay. When you're going down into the dungeons, or when you're up top in the overworld solving puzzles, or when you're actually in a bigger area, it's just very fun to play. Music's great as well, typical Zelda type of tunes with a nice little Zelda touch to it. So really enjoyed my time with Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. That's why it makes it number 7 on the list. Coming in at number 6, The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak. This is easily one of the best RPGs that I have played when it comes down to combat systems. It has a unique hybrid blend of action and turn-based combat, but the action parts are really in-depth and well done to transition into the turn-based combat. The graphics necessarily aren't the best, but it makes up for it in style, music, and combat. Those things really take up when it comes to Falcom and what they do with their games. Trails Through Daybreak has so many awesome plot points, and the intricate web of the Legend of Heroes series is really exposed here when it comes to the characters and everything, but it's really well done. Even if you don't really know everything about it, you can still enjoy this game quite a bit just because the combat is so satisfying. The sound effects, the items that you get afterwards, how you level up, the experience. I really enjoyed my time with it. Plenty of content to go through overall. You can spend a lot of time in this game, and I really enjoyed it. And even talking about this game right now gets me even more excited to play the Trails in the Sky first chapter, the first one in the series. So yeah, The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak is awesome. Easily one of the best RPGs that I played this year. That's why it's coming in at number 6. Now, I have to do a little bit of a special mention / edit here because I didn't put it originally in here, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is absolutely one of my top games for the year. I just have a really big love-hate relationship with it because of what I thought it was going to be and ultimately what it ended up being. I still think it's a top game for the year. I'm just not exactly sure where I would slot it here, so I do just want to give a special mention to that. What I really enjoyed about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was the fact that the music was incredible. The renditions are so well done. The characters, the animation, all of that stuff is super fluid. I think that the combat system is really good as well. The synergy abilities between your different characters are cool. It was dope to be able to play as Sephiroth as well. And there's certain story elements that I really enjoy about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So as a special mention, somewhere in this top, I would say probably 10 or so, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is absolutely one of those games. All right, guys, we are in the top 5. Let's get into it. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown in at number 5. This game surprised me in terms of how good it was. I'm not a huge Prince of Persia fan, but when I first saw this game, I saw a cool blend between Metroid Dread and Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to play this game, and it absolutely lives up. It's right up there when it comes to Metroidvania games or that style. It's got some really cool, unique innovations in the Metroidvania type of gameplay, like being able to take snapshots of areas so you can know where to come back from and easily access those. There are a lot of things that opens it up to people who maybe never tried a Metroidvania game, or maybe if you don't like them that much, you might like this one. The combat is super fast and fluid. Once again, hybrid style overall. You'll feel like sometimes you're like Samus sliding through areas and fighting certain bosses that have some similar keys to what you saw in Metroid Dread, but then you also get that RPG feel of the Castlevania games as you get new abilities and skills and get different things to power up your weapons. So it's just this nice blend of some of my favorite games of all time. I think the story is really well done. The graphics are nice as well. The music is good, and it's got a great feature that lets you save to the cloud, and you can access your save on any platform. So it has a nice cross save type of thing. So if you want to play it on your Nintendo Switch on the go, but then also play it on your PC or play it on your PlayStation or your Xbox, you can easily transfer the data over. So I love that about this game as well. And that's why Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown makes it to number 5 on the list. Coming in at number 4, Unicorn Overlord. Oh my goodness, this game is so great. I love it so much. It was actually my number 1 game when it comes to Nintendo Switch titles in my list. But Unicorn Overlord, it's pretty much perfect, man. There's not many things wrong with it. There might be some pacing stuff and some things here and there, but overall, this game rocks, man. There are so many different characters to get. There are so many different plot points to uncover, a lot of different side quests in different ways that the game could go, different endings. But what I love about it is the unique blend of essentially like an RTS, turn-based RPG, kind of battle manager type of game as you're putting your pawns and your pieces together, strategizing and forming a way to get through a map in real time a bit, and also playing when you're setting everything up for the battles to go. So those are some of my favorite things about Unicorn Overlord. I think the music is awesome as well. The characters and the dialogue, that stuff is great, and you're gonna find a bunch of characters that you just find really cool. There's a lot of cool backstory. There's a lot of great backstories and characters that you're just going to want to latch onto, and the design of the characters are so different from person to person. Reminds me of Fire Emblem a little bit when it comes to some of the different designs and how you latch on to certain characters' personalities. So Unicorn Overlord absolutely deserves its number 4 spot on the list. Coming in at number 3, Astrobot. Yes, the bot is back. PlayStation exclusive here, at least for right now. It might come over to PC later, but Astrobot is fantastic. What do I love about Astrobot? Pretty much everything overall. The game has super sleek presentation, graphics, charm, all that is on lock. The DualSense controller features are amazing. Probably the best usage of the DualSense ever to date at this point, and I love the style of it. It reminds me of Super Mario 3D World with Super Mario Sunshine and a lot of the old school Mario games, Galaxy and something kind of all put together into one. Not necessarily as, I would say, intricate with some of the movesets. Those quite aren't there, but the fun factor is what this game is about. That's what Mario's about. That's what this game is about, and Astrobot brings it in spades. I enjoyed the boss battles. I felt like the ending sequence was I would say, love letter to PlayStation overall, and the characters, all the different bots you can get. And I really enjoyed the themed levels as well. Like, there were certain levels that were themed after certain PlayStation IPs, and those were super fun. So Astrobot is all about fun and easily one of the best games of 2024, and that's why it's number 3 on my list. Coming in at number 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. And this game was lower on my Nintendo Switch list, but on the PlayStation 5, where it runs super smooth, looks incredible, has super fast loading, I think it actually creates a better sensation and euphoria for this game overall. It really is great on PlayStation 5, and I think that the new added content in here really adds a lot to the overall package, because some of the biggest problems with the original SMT5 are addressed here. There's a host of quality of life features. There's a bunch of brand new demons that you can access. The story is completely remixed with Yoko and her interference in here, and how you have a whole new route. They added more human characters to your party, so you feel more like a typical typical RPG out there. Instead of it just being just all demons on your team the whole time, you actually have human characters that have their own demon as well. So there are just a bunch of things that this game did. I think the story is so much better now at this point, but the gameplay is addictive. This game just flows. The press turn system, when it comes down to exploiting the weaknesses and fusing your demons and doing all that, is just incredibly well done. The Makatsui rails that you can go to, flying from different section to section, that really cut down on the time it takes to get to places. That was a brilliant addition to the game as well. So I can't say enough good things about Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, and that's why it's number 2 on my list. But coming in at number 1, Metaphor ReFantazio, my most played game of the year and absolutely my game of the year. This game hits on all cylinders. It went from trading in the classroom to a whole new fantasy setting. It takes a lot of the great aspects about the Persona games, SMT games, and kind of puts in its own flair as well in a setting like Fire Emblem or in a traditional type of fantasy RPG, and it nails it. It is so much fun, especially the class system, the archetypes in the game, how you rip out your heart and then you kind of build into this really cool looking archetype of the old heroes that used to use magic in a natural, organic way. The world building in this game is incredible. It takes a little bit of time to get going, but man, once it does, it is just so good. But I really enjoyed the combat overall. I felt that the combat, the hybrid blend of action RPG where you can start out hitting people up in real time, then transitioning right into the turn-based combat, is so well done. The transitions are great, but I also think that the story in this game is phenomenal, with a plot twist that I did not see coming. But I think that this game has one of the best ever villains with Luis. He is awesome, his story is awesome, and what happens towards the end of the game is incredible. And I have to mention the music. The music is so good. When I first heard the Academia theme with More, I was like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. This feels like a Chrono Trigger type quality music overall, in terms of like every track just feels great to listen to. So I really enjoyed everything that this game offered, from the music to the gameplay, to the graphics, the style. Yes, not graphically the best or most impressive detail wise, but the art style is just so sleek and cool. It really just attracts you to the game. So Metaphor ReFantazio absolutely deserves the number 1 spot on my top 15 best games of 2024. Now, what are your best games of 2024? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG videos, top 10 lists, and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.